Yeah.
If you know this voice, then you know what time it is. JT back in the building. It is NBA season, and we are full-fledged mode. What's going on, Meech? It feels good to be back today.
Feels good to be back. Feels good to take a break from college football because, I mean, don't get me wrong, college football is great, but you can only milk it so far, and the NBA,
right.
The NBA in full function, it's great to be back.
Well, Jesus Christ, I've been on a love train, so we've been trying to schedule, but I took a step off the train for a little bit to record a podcast real quick for you guys real quick. I hope, you guys are kind of, I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of upset because we had a problem with, and it was pretty good, and nobody else looked at it. And I was kind of upset because I told you guys that if the one thing the Philadelphia 76ers needed to be good, it was to get rid of Ben Simmons. Let's talk about the 76ers. 76ers are now the number one in the Eastern Conference, going 7-2. And to be honest, I'm not at all surprised. No Ben Simmons, then no losses.
Yeah. I think it's crazy because, I mean, you look at Ben Simmons' impact, the impact he makes on the court, and like I said, it's not like he was scoring much anyway. This guy was mainly a defensive threat for guards on the court, and I mean, you can see their defensive numbers are down a bit, but it's nothing that's stopping them from scoring on offense because, like I said, once again, they were doing this already, so this is nothing new for the 76ers. They'll continue to do that, and Doc Rivers is cooking something up there, so I think
I mean, I'm impressed. I'm not impressed, but I'm impressed. The 76ers, you kind of expect this. They're in the Eastern Conference. I mean, in their conference, they're 4-2. Mm-hmm. I mean, the 76ers have always had a strong team, but I mean, I said it. If you don't believe that I said it, you need to go back to the problem with video and you need to watch it. By the way, at 200 views, I think we should get that to like 2,000, free advertisement. But I will say this, that I did say that the 76ers have potential to be a strong team. They haven't been to the conference finals in such a long time. And I really think that the only reason that they lost that 1 year to Kawhi Leonard was because of the lucky bounce. Now what they're doing is they're starting to see that they're actually a lot better without Ben Simmons. And I think the reason Ben Simmons had come back at the beginning of the season when he showed up at the practice, he really was seeing that nobody cared that he was gone. And just like a bad relationship, when you notice that somebody doesn't care that you're gone, you want to show up because you want to know what the heck is happening and why have you been replaced. But here's what's happening. Ben Simmons, there's not much to replace with you. And I say that with all respect. Like I said in the video, one-on-one, Ben Simmons could kill me. But you can't kill the NBA when you're not shooting. And they're not really losing much. They lost some good vision on the court. But honestly, I think they're making up for it.
Yeah, I think it's crazy when you look back at when this whole situation was in the, like the full-fledged, and you had the players pretty much saying they didn't care about Ben Simmons. They didn't care what was going on with him. And then they say, we went out to a team dinner, and then Ben Simmons still doesn't show up, and every game he misses, he's getting fined big money. And I don't think he has really any intention of coming back. The team is 7-2 without Ben Simmons. Why don't we trade him and get an offensive piece, somebody who can score? I mean, I'm looking at Colin Sexton. Maybe you want a guard that can score the ball, but you still don't want to lose that defensive edge. You don't want to lose that nature of the 76ers, which is that defensive edge ability to be able to score. Ben Simmons is a guy that doesn't fit that table. And I mean, there's a lot of pieces, a lot of players in this league where I'm looking at him like that guy can play defense and he can put the ball in the net and drop 20 points on any given night. And the 76ers need to go ahead and let go of Ben Simmons. I get it. The whole process, the process hasn't worked. It's time to reach out, bring new guys in and get this team on the right track. Because I'm going to tell you exactly what's going to happen. The 76ers are going to go back to the playoffs, and they're going to try to play this whole. They're going to try to do this whole defensive win system, and it's not going to work. It's going to fail.
It's not.
Again, the Hawks have no defense, really, none. And the fact that they were able to take down the 76ers the way they did is it's quite embarrassing. And it lets the 76ers know they need to improve their team. They're worried about the wrong things. That defense, it's not going to save you. It's not going to help you, especially when you're going against teams who are high volume behind the three-point line, behind the arc, like the Hawks. So the East is only getting better, and I mean that gap that we're seeing, we saw the 76ers is one of the elites. That gap's just slowly closing.
I mean, the 76ers, they go to the playoffs. There's, at this time, one team that they need to worry about because it's not the Nets right now. The Nets are performing decently. They're not very, scary. But I'll tell you one team that, stat-wise, they need to worry about, and that is the Chicago Bulls. And I thought, this is like, look, I grew up 45 minutes outside the city of Chicago, okay? I learned that no matter what team it was, unless it was hockey, the team was going to let you down. The Blackhawks were good. Rose kept getting hurt every season, and they kept signing him. And the Bears are, wow. So I don't know what happened this year with Chicago in sports, but for some reason, the Chicago Bulls are 6-2 at the beginning of the season. And it's very confusing, but it's also not very confusing. I remember messaging Meech once, and I took a bold statement. I said, I cannot wait to see what happens when Alex Caruso gets his own team. Now, that is a bold statement to say Alex Caruso is getting his own team, because he's still not a player that is, I'm not saying that he's not a player that could have his own team, but from where he was coming from, the Bulls were not going to be his team. But DeRozan, Caruso, and Lonzo is a strange big three that is actually working. Alex Caruso and Lonzo Ball have this chemistry that is just very unique. It's very unique. And DeMar DeRozan, he's always been a beast, no matter where he's at. He's always been a beast, so that's not a problem. But the Chicago Bulls, they're looking scary this year. And when a team on the Eastern Conference looks scary, that is a very scary thing. The Chicago Bulls have not looked this scary since Derrick Rose in 2008, when they almost beat LeBron, but Derrick Rose got hurt. What's going on with the Bulls? Do you think that they can keep this consistency?
Yeah, I mean, with this offseason, the Bulls are looking at three things, right? You want to get to the foul line. Last season, they ranked in the bottom 5 in free throw attempts per game. Zach LaVine wasn't getting to the line. Wendell Carter wasn't getting to the line. Now you bring in a guy like DeMar DeRozan. He's 5th in the league in free throws per game. And Zach LaVine's improved. And with the Bulls, they've built this team, I think, really around defense. Now you add Caruso, you add Lonzo Ball, you add these guys to bring in some defense to your team. But these guys can also score. We've seen Lonzo take big leaps forward in his ability to score the basketball.
Right.
And, Caruso is a guy that's coming off the bench. He's also adding that defensive factor, whether or not he scores that much. And then you got DeMar DeRozan. So, I like what I'm seeing from the Bulls, and they're doing really good. And I want to see this continue because, the East is one of those conferences that just feel like anything can happen. Like there's no gap, especially with Kyrie not playing on the Nets. You're not looking at looking at the Nets like, oh, you guys are winning it. This year, the East is kind of open because, even Miami's doing good. I'm saying the Knicks are the Knicks, and the Wizards surprisingly are decent. So, the East is one of those conferences where you just want to hold your breath and see where we are come playoff time. You check in every week or two and see who's improving. But I like what I'm seeing from the Bulls. Definitely look like a playoff team. I don't even want to say they look like one. They are a playoff team, and their momentum, their chemistry that will continue to build over the season. We'll see how it leads them into the playoffs, whether they're a favorite or they're an underdog. But right now, they're just kind of a team that we're still trying to figure out a bit more from. And I'm not ready to buy in yet, but I got my cash on the table.
And I will say this, one thing that people do forget about Alex Caruso is it's kind of the same thing for the players that played with Jordan. I know it kind of seems like I'm riding Alex Caruso, but I've always been an Alex Caruso fan. He did play with the best player in the world right now. And that does have a difference on the way that you lead and the way that you play the ball game, because he was playing with the greatest player and he was doing good himself.
Yeah.
So he was, let's not forget, he was like, 7th, 8th man coming off the bench and the Lakers, and he was playing like a starter.
Yeah.
So, he's able to bring all of that to the Bulls, but bring it in his own style to where it's not more micromanaging, kind of like LeBron does, but being able to see like the pace that if one thing that the Bulls are doing that LeBron likes to do is their pacing. Their pacing is very quick. On those fast breaks, they're moving down the court, and they got all young legs. LeBron likes those old heads around him. I've already talked about that. So it's hard to play that young game. But Alex Caruso is actually playing the young game where they're doing things like they're doing quick passes that people are just not used to. They're only used to seeing that from one team, and that's any team that LeBron is on. But that's what the Bulls are doing. In case anybody is just wondering why they're doing it, it's their tempo. Their tempo has increased. It's increased its young, fresh legs. The question is, when you start out doing that in the beginning of the year, are you going to burn yourself out by the end of the season? That's the real question. Because we still got things like injuries, which we hate to talk about. And at the end of the day, these are not 5-star athletes. I hate to say it. I mean, maybe DeMar DeRozan is your 5-star athlete. This is a team full of 3-star, 4-star athletes. These are people that you would not expect to be on the top 75 for another about 2 or 3 years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think when you talk about those fresh legs, I think another thing you've got to put in aspect is what also helps them a lot is their ability to come down, when another team's coming up the court, their ability to lock down on defense. And
exactly,
it's helping them a lot. And I still think there's a lot of room for improvement with this team. I still think there's a lot of things they can work on. And like I said, they can get even better. But like I said, right now, I'm not ready to buy in on them. But, I'm starting to pull the cash out of my pocket. But, yeah, the Bulls are definitely a team I'm keeping an eye on.
Yeah, so it's just all about keeping your tempo up. I mean, we talk about them, but we also talk about, one team we don't want to forget about is we don't want to forget about Charlotte Hornets. I mean, they're number 9th right now, but they are still having an impressive season. Now, I don't know if it's because they're still riding LaMelo Ball. That's
a new character on the podcast.
I don't know if it's because they're still riding LaMelo Ball or if it's because he's having a great season. But I will say that the Hornets are still impressing me with Miles Bridges and LaMelo Ball. They are literally by themselves. They are by themselves carrying the Hornets on their back.
Yeah, I mean, what's impressive is they're leading the league in points per game, assists per game. Their rebounds is towards the bottom of the league, but I think their big problem is you score all these points per game, but you're still somehow averaging more points allowed per game, and that's because this team is not built anywhere on the defensive side of the ball. You look at their starting lineup, and I see absolutely no defense. So yeah, you can score these points, and that'll carry you to a win sometimes. But with no defense, you're in trouble.
Look at the whole lineup at all.
Yeah, I'm looking at it, and it's not. I mean, LaMelo's not going to play any defense. He's a 6'8" guy. You'd want him to, but I mean, you're leaving him in the dust.
He's a point guard.
You're leaving him in the dust. It's not gonna work out for them. And I mean, it kind of proves a point too, where you look at a team that's 5-5. You need some type of defense. Trade deadline, let's make it happen. I mean, if the Braves can do it in baseball, trade deadline.
Oh wow! Way to throw that Atlanta.
Huh?
Speaking of Atlanta, I will say this though, because you did mention that the Hawks didn't have as good as defense.
Yeah,
which is true, but last season they still had Clint Capella. So even if you don't have good defense,
DeAndre Hunter too,
you still got a dude that's about 6'10", 6'11", sitting in the paint. That's a paint beast. That's just there to scare you. I mean, we got to get something on the Hornets. We got to get something, or we got to learn how to stop letting people make so many shots.
I mean, yeah, the Hawks got some playmakers that can play great defense. I mean, you look at DeAndre Hunter from Virginia coming into the draft. He was one of the best one-on-one ball defenders, and the Hawks were able to grab him. Cam Reddish is a guy who can play some defense, and then like you said, Clint Capella, you say just a guy standing in the paint to scare. I mean, this guy's a paint beast, like you say all the time.
I'm kind of mad he left the Rockets, so we'll leave it at that. But
the guy is dangerous, and
he is. Yeah,
it just has a big effect, and it also helps when you got Trae Young putting up 30, 40 points a night. And you got Kevin Huerter shooting deadly from the three. These guys look like threats, and
yeah.
The thing that's you got those defensive pieces. You look at these Hornets, they don't have it. How can you average the most points per game, but also allow more points per game than you're scoring? That's pretty bad,
right?
And it's not going to get them anywhere in the Eastern Conference. We'll see. Is the play-in game returning this year? If it is, they'll probably make it, and they'll lose. again. Because when you get to the playoffs, you're not playing these bad teams that can't score and can't play any defense. When you get to the playoffs, I don't care what conference you're in, East, West, you're going against the best of the best teams, the best 8 teams from the conference. I mean, these guys are here for a reason. And the Hornets, they say playoff is when teams show their true colors. A lot of teams will show their true colors. They said it about the Jazz last year, the Suns.
I called that, by the way.
Oh my God. Yeah. Shout out to those Clippers, man.
We never made a trolling video at the end of the season, bro.
No, we didn't.
But I will say that I did say that the Utah Jazz was going to flop.
I mean, I don't really think it was flopping. I don't think they were expected to win. I mean, the Suns, Lakers. I mean,
they're not a playoff team.
They have it. I mean, I still disagree. I don't think they really had an opportunity where they were like a clear favorite to win the title. Even now, they're the number 1 team in their conference. They're still not a favorite to win it. You know what I mean? There's still so many teams with more talent.
Speaking of teams that we didn't think were going to win, Milwaukee Bucks, are they tanking this season?
They got to be. I mean, Giannis even said it in the interview. He's like, we're tanking, but we managed to win.
What?
I'll tell you one thing.
What is going on?
Yeah. The Thunder need to learn.
Milwaukee Bucks and is LeBron tanking? What is happening?
LeBron's injured, so it's he's coming in and out. But I'm gonna tell you right now, the Lakers.
When LeBron gets injured, I don't believe it. I'm not gonna lie. I will say this. I know this is just a little rant, but I will say the man spends over $1 million on his health. All right, there's a reason that LeBron has never truly been injured, like injured with quote unquote to where he misses a season. LeBron has only been. He rolled his ankle. He's out for 6, 7, 8 games. Because he's playing that game. He's playing that long-term game, man. I'm trying to tell you. LeBron has never truly been injured like Klay Thompson injured. That's injured. LeBron has been like, what did he do one season? He sprained his toe and he was out for like 5 or 6 games.
I don't know.
It's just, I don't know. But, I mean, look, I'm not going to go off on a tangent because we ain't recording a long time. We could talk about a lot of stuff right now. But I will say this, guys. We are back, okay? We are back. My energy is high. All right, let me tell you this. We got some videos coming to where we got a list. We got to do our beginning of the season stuff before it gets too late in the season to where we're going to think who's going to win Rookie of the Year, right? It might be that guy on that team that's 1-7 that you wouldn't know is 1-7 because of how much they talk about the Rockets. Jalen Green. They talk about the Rockets so much you wouldn't even think that they were 1-7, but everybody forgets that they're 1-7. And then we got to do Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, Sixth Man of the Year, maybe even Coach of the Year. But normally your Coach of the Year is the guy that wins. So we got all that coming. So I'm going to end this video, but I'm not going to end this video with a goodbye. I'm going to end this video with the welcome back, Junkies.
Welcome back. Almost at 200 subs. We're like 3 subs away from 200. We're almost there.
Welcome back.
We're almost there. Hey, shouts out Russell Westbrook, man. I told you that Lakers system was gonna be a little bit weird, but I think we're seeing that firsthand. If LeBron's not on that court, it's definitely not gonna work. You got Russ doing all the work. You got Russ trying to take over LeBron's mantle. It's not gonna work. Come on, Frank Vogel, you're better than that.
You're better than that.
Shout out Russell Westbrook. Shout out Lamar Ball. 2-point Rondo.
Come on, bro. Chill out that.
Top 10 Westbrook. Come on,
Hey,
bro.
shout out to James Harden. Still not knowing how to score without committing a foul that is no longer able.
Oh, yeah. My man's going through it right now. They're like, bro, you can't just flop anymore. Come on, bro. Poor guy.
And shout out to the greatest player of all time, Luka Doncic. See y'all later. Welcome back.